Evans here this morning. I'd like for him to lead us in prayer, if you would, please.
Father God, we just bow before you this day. For this is a day that you have made. And Father, we choose to be glad and rejoice in it. Father, we thank you for your love. We thank you for your provision in our lives. Father God, I thank you for these commissioners, Lord. And Father, I believe they're appointed for such a time as this. Lord, I ask that you would give them wisdom in making decisions that affects our community and our lives. And so, Father God, we thank you that we can ask of you as a father, and you give good gifts to your children. So, God, I pray that you would just bless this day. Father, I pray that you would bless this hour. And God, it would be used to bring glory not only to you, but to our community. I pray protection over Bradley County today. And Father, I'm going to give you praise and glory and honor. For it is in the name of Jesus Christ our Lord we have prayed. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Again, I want to welcome everybody here. We just have two that's absent today, Commissioner Mason and Commissioner Hughes. So hopefully that the three's up here and who's here can answer your questions today. First of all, we have minutes 28th November meeting. I'd like motion for that to be approved. All in favor? Okay, septic tank cost sharing plan. So from our last minutes, we'll just start out with Commissioner Blake, I guess. Got questions that you need to ask her?
Sorry about that. Applicants are applying daily soon, and they're keeping track of how many. That's good. And from what I understand, one's already been approved and work's already started. So good. We're on track.
Matt, you would step up. I'd like just to ask you a few questions. And this is just for the record, and I just like to, this is me asking. And some of the commissioners has asked me, and some of the other people has asked me these same questions. And these are questions for you. What was the first day that the permits were first issued? What was the first date of issue for the permits?
That would be a question for TDEC.
Was
I don't issue permits.
Was that not when we put it in effect? What was it? January was it 7th or?
I did not bring that information with me. I'd have to look back at my records of when we had our first call with the program.
So do you have a record of the first permit you got on the first day? Who turned in the first permit? Not who, but the first time that you got a permit, what date was it?
Again, I'd have to look back at our spreadsheet. I don't have that information on hand.
Okay. And then these was just questions I had for you prior before we had got the information that we got. And these questions had come, like I said, from people because I didn't have no information. And this was the questions. And then it says, who did and when did you first report? Who did you report to and when did you first report your first report of how many people had got septic system permits?
So that information was shared with the mayor's office and with Lori as well. I believe you guys all got a copy of that.
Okay.
Correct
We
me if
didn't
I'm
get
wrong.
a copy of it till I actually went to RC&D, and then the next day I got a phone call from Adam. Sorry, Adam. I got a phone call from Adam on the 19th, and then we actually got that on the 20th. So, or I actually got a phone call on the 19th, and it had been reported to him on the 20th, or the 19th, and we got it on the 20th. That was the reason I was asking you these questions. And can you tell me A lot of people thinks this ain't going so smooth. Some people thinks it's going smooth. I've got a lot of people that's calling saying, hey, we can't get this and we can't get that. So one of the informations you had sent me was TDEC's list of applicants that are companies that you could actually call. And I won't say 1,000 and something of them on there. Is that correct?
I don't know off the top of my head how many
There's a bunch
contractors are on
Right.
there. It
But
is
anyway,
it is a statewide list.
it's
I don't know if you looked over it.
It's a
It's organized by
statewide.
county.
But I didn't notice the county till I got another one, and it had lines showing that Bradley County had several people that, and that was my fault for not looking so good. That Bradley County had, Bradley County has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 companies that are listed. Polk County has like 2 or 3. And I didn't notice that. And what is generally the way that you go about when someone calls you and asks you? Can you explain to us what you tell them when I call and say, hey, Matt, my septic system's tore up? How am I going to get it fixed? What I need to do?
So I shared with Lori a template that I send out by email to every homeowner that I speak with. I believe you guys have it in front of you.
Yes, sir.
But I'm happy to verbally share that as well.
If you would, please.
Sure. So, I explained to them this is a cost share program. It's funded
Okay.
by the American Rescue Plan. Bradley County has hired us as a subcontractor to administer this program. I explained to them that their first step is going to be to contact TDEC about getting a permit and inspection set up. I share with them the link to that to do so through TDEC's website. I explained to them that they need to use a list or a contractor on that approved contractors list that TDEC maintains. I share with them the most current copy of that list. The list was most recently revised on January 20th, so that's the list that I've been sharing with people over the past few days. And I explained to them this is a first come first served grant, and once I received the copies of those bids back, we put together the cost share agreement form for them to sign. Now, funding is not reserved for homeowners until that agreement form has been signed. And once we receive that back, we put that in our financial tracker, and those funds are allocated for the repair for that individual.
Okay. Now, what if a person says, I don't have a computer to get all this? What do they need to do?
So, this is a process that we do electronically.
So
even
it's
the
all
paperwork
done.
is signed electronically. So the first thing I'll ask is, do you have a family member who you could
Okay.
you could have speak with us, and at that point, maybe we'll get a family member's email. I haven't run into an address or I haven't run into a situation yet where a homeowner does not have a family member who could help them out with the computer side of things, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Okay, good deal. Is there anything that you think that we could do to make this process better?
Not that I'm aware of. I know there's some citizens here today who have some questions and concerns, so I'll be glad to hear their feedback.
Thank you.
But no, I mean, we're really just following the guidance that was laid out by this commission here. Things are going smoothly. I'm getting tons of phone calls every day. So at this point, we just got to let it play out as it will,
So in other words, and I'm saying this for the citizens to hear, sometimes it's a waiting process, right?
That's right. I mean, we have no control over contractors and their availability. So I believe that's the holdup at the moment.
Right.
I would encourage any contractors out there who have not renewed their certification with the state to do so, because that has been a holdup. And I know that there's at least one individual here today who's running into that problem. So, if there are contractors out there who'd like to do this work, by all means, we'd be happy to have you, but you have to go through that state certification process.
Okay.
TDEC will not approve a repair that is not done by a certified contractor. So this is nothing that
Bless you.
that we you know, are enforcing on our own. This is TDEC here.
100%. I understand that. But the question that I'm asking you, from this point forward, what do you think would be a proper way or a proper time limit to get information to Lori and to the county mayor? Once a week? Updates? What I'm talking about?
I would say that's up for y'all to decide. I'm a busy man.
That's
I'm
what
receiving
that's
a ton
why
of
I'm
phone calls
asking
every day,
you.
as you can imagine. So, the less checking in with people, the better, I would say. I'm happy to provide information as needed, but I would leave that up to the commission to decide.
That's why I was asking you, how busy are you and what would be a good time schedule for you? And if a week's, and we're not asking you to report every one of them every time, just the update on who's getting what. And here's another thing I would like to be informed of, and I know you'll get this. Don't need all the information of who it's coming from or whatever, but the pricing, what people are having to pay for, and that information we could actually use ourselves of if they put 300 foot of field line in, it costs $9,000 or $5,000 or whatever.
Right.
Can we
Yeah,
get that information and then the person's name and the address, and it will not go out?
that is standard on our reporting that you'll
Okay.
receive those numbers.
And I think Louis had asked for something last night. Do you remember what he asked for?
He had asked for there to be a note in the margin of that tracker sheet explaining what the repair was. Now, I'm happy to do that if need be, but also if people are interested, they can look at the TDEC permit there. It just adds another layer of things that we're having to keep track of if we're needing to go through and add things in the margin there. But if the commission would like to see that, I'm happy to do so.
I would really like to see that, and I don't know how you get paid, but it was quite a bit of money the county paid to have that done, if you would please. We would like
Sure.
to actually see what's going on.
Sure.
That's what we're
And if you'd like
responsible
more
for.
information on those repairs, like I said, that permit will be attached as part of our
Okay.
reporting process.
Adam?
One of the things that we want to be mindful of, we have a signed agreement, and in that agreement, it's already been decided what they are responsible for, our C&D.
Okay.
So I think we need to be mindful that we're not asking for too much additional work,
Right.
because with Matt standing in the room, we don't want to have to go back and pay him more. And while, yes, we've paid them quite a bit of money, he is, and he'll report later, we had, 20 more calls since the last report. So we need him focused on taking care of these folks, not necessarily babysitting us, I guess is what I'm saying. And so I want to be mindful that that the commission doesn't ask too much work from him. I think the weekly updates that they've agreed to give us have been helpful, and we've tweaked those in the last week. So that's our only concern in the mayor's office is we've got a signed agreement. They've agreed to do a base level, and we've asked them to do a little bit more. So at some point, we just need to let them do their job.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Real quick on that, I agree with you, Adam. We don't want to, 15 layers of bureaucracy on this. However, I do want to keep track of where we are on checkpoints with the money. And like when we allocated $750,000, and once $750,000 has been used up, that's it. So obviously, at the 50% mark, $375,000. When you get to that, approved projects that would cost us $375. I'd like to know that. So that gives me an idea. We're 50% of our money, and as we get closer to 100%, those would be helpful. Because we got art money all. Is that doable?
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know where I'm getting at, right? In other
Oh,
words,
absolutely.
Checkpoints on the money piece of it.
Mm-hmm. For sure. I mean, we're keeping track of those numbers as we go. So every time we've got a contract with somebody, we enter the numbers in, that auto-populates down to the total. So as we go, that
Right.
number is.
And the
being
motivation
updated.
behind that, just to be transparent about it, is obviously we've had those people who have contacted us, Lori can tell you, is that they did work the end of the fall last year, and obviously we had a point in time where this program started. We're gonna have a point in time where the program ends, and I wanna be mindful of expectations, because it get really crazy. So, as we get closer to 750, and that one person is that one person that went over, we will take that up. But see where I'm going with this? I mean,
I sure do.
I don't want
Mhm.
anybody mad at me for unnecessary reasons.
Right. Completely understand.
Couple of comments to make. Mylan's I placed him on the committee to keep track of the money. Okay. He does a damn good job of that. The committee is formed in order for transparency for the public. Government bureaucracy gets off the railroad track all too easy, and that's the purpose of this committee. I think personally, once a week, as you've agreed to do already, is fine. We just need to keep track of the money, and the challenge here, I think Chairman's going to get into it more, is these contractors failing to renew their thing on TDEC, and it's causing a circus out there with these people trying to get help. In some way, we've got to look into that. But I just wanted to make that point. We don't want to overburden you, but we have a responsibility to the public. That's all. And thank you for what you're doing so far. I have no complaints at all.
Thanks, sir.
First of all, I'm not asking you to babysit me. I promise you that. All I'm asking for is a little bit of information. You give us some information on the addresses and the houses. All you have to say is we put in 300 foot of field line. We change the septic tank, put in 300 foot of field line. And then if the price was $1,000, write $1,000. Don't have to go into we dug and all that stuff. Pretty simple, basic stuff. So if you can do that, and if it's not in your contract, that's perfectly fine. Don't do it. And Lori, if you will, would you get me a copy of that contract, please? And I'd like to read over it and see how it goes. But I promise you, son, I'm not against you. I am for you. I want to see everybody in this county get sewer and septic took care of. I promise you that.
On that point about, what's actually being repaired, you'll see two spots where that's identified. That'll be in the TDEC inspection. That'll also be in the bid from the contractor. So adding that additional step of us having to report that to you guys when it's already been reported in two places is my hang up with that.
Okay, if you will teach me how to do that. I mean, it'd take 2 minutes for you to show me where to go and what to do to be able to get it.
I'm going to send those over. I'll share those with Lori once we have a completed project, and that'll have all that written out in the bid and the inspection.
And I thank you so much for coming the other night and not getting many questions. I didn't have my questions for you, but I thank you for what you do. You're a good man. You're a good asset to this community. I want you to know that.
Thank you, sir.
I'm not talking down to you, I promise you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, sir.
Any more questions for Matt? We appreciate you being here, Matt. Thank you very much. You're knowledgeable about this, a lot more knowledgeable than we are. It's just questions that we get sometimes that we need answers, and we appreciate you following up on those for us. Thank
Happy
you
to
very
do
much.
so.
Yes, sir. Mayor, you want to bring us up to date? Towards,
On what, Mr. Chairman?
How many?
On what now?
How far we are on this thing, and for how many recipients we have already applied for this?
We haven't gotten our official update from Matt at the end of the week, but the mayor shared on Monday night that I think it was 26 applicants. And that number is anyone who's called. So let me be clear about that. That could be someone who's just called and got more information. We have one project that's been approved. Matt told me earlier today that another permit has been issued. Two of the individuals that have called and requested information and are in the process are individuals who will be able to hook up to sewer. I know that was important to you all as well. So there's at least 2. Have those folks proceeded in the process at all? It's not really involving you as much as it is the utility.
That's right. We have one gentleman here who's going to speak to that today, I believe. I don't know if you're planning to speak. Okay.
Okay, so
One more
that's good
question.
news. I know the commission wanted to make sure that folks that couldn't repair their septic systems but could hook onto sewer were able to do that. So we've got at least 2 in the pipeline. And Matt told me earlier that you've had 48 now. 48 total people reach out to you.
Correct. We have 48 individuals on
Okay.
that homeowner contact list at this point.
And just to give you a frame of reference on the money, and this isn't, there's nothing been spent of the 750. Roughly, if everything that's on his desk today were to go through, it represents about a third of that 750,000. So $250,000. That's not on the dollar, but Matt said if everything on his desk were to go through today, that's what we'd be looking at. So to kind of give you some perspective about how quickly this project is progressing.
And that is, Matt, that is on the sewer, right? Sewer connections?
This is including both sewer connections and septic repairs. As of this morning, we only have 3 people who are going to be looking into sewer connections. But the majority of those are septic repairs.
And can I ask you one question? If you have to refer me to TDEC, that's fine too. The sewer system, the only way they're gonna be able to hook up to this if the TDEC says their sewer system's bad, right?
If they have sewer lines at the road, TDEC will not issue them a permit for septic repair.
Okay.
At that
If
point,
their
It is
tank is-
mandatory that they tie into that
Right.
sewer line.
Okay.
Correct.
Thank you.
That's there's been a lot of questions asked about that. I'm glad we got that clarified, so that's something we may wanna. Thank you very much, Matt.
Yes, sir.
I didn't recognize, I believe Fifth District, Rachel, school board member, she's here this morning. I didn't recognize you there. Appreciate you being here. Okay, we've got several people that want to talk, and hopefully they'll have questions for us. And with Matt here and everything, we can get those answered for you. So I'll just ask you one at a time to come up and state your name and what district you're in or wherever, and we'll just go from there. So just one at a time, please.
How are you?
Good.
My name's Rachel Goins, and I'm in the 5th District. So I'm going to answer some of your questions, Scott, because you asked him. And I want to personally thank Matt. We have not met. We have spoken many times, and to your questions, you asked how many were on the certified. There's 138 pages, roughly 1,932 certified people be able to do the work that he's asking. January the 10th, the contract wasn't signed yet. And I think the 15th or the 11th, January the 11th, the contract was signed. Cindy Slater, who's our 5th District County Commissioner, emailed me immediately and said, go ahead and call. I emailed Matt within 15 minutes. He called me. So for the last 2 weeks, I have been doing my due diligence, trying to get my issues straightened out. So I did my permit as requested, and 2 days later, TDEC came out, Mark came out. I have 2 houses in Green Meadows subdivision, 200 Bluegrass Circle and 204, which is also lines up with the church, the Fellowship Church, which is adjacent or right beside it. TDEC came out shaking his head almost immediately. The next day, he had the Tennessee State soil consultant out to both of my properties. He denied both permits to get anything done on either property because of the soil. It will not drain. So I'm at the mercy of the county commissioner and the city councilman and Cleveland Utilities because he said the only option is city sewer. Well, the city sewer from where I am less than 1/10 of a mile from the city line. But the church, which is just past the subdivision, has city sewer. Now, I've spoken to Cindy Slater, Ken Webb, city councilman, Cleveland Utilities, Jonathan Job. I've been on the phone with Adam. I need something done. But from what I'm hearing, it's going to be like thousands and thousands of dollars. By the time that I get something done, that money from the state's going to be gone. So I need a solution. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that's going to have this problem where they're going to be denied a permit. So have we even thought about that? Have we thought that far? Because we have a process. If your field lines are failing, you apply for the permit's approved, you go get 2 estimates from the 138-page list, you get all the information back to him, you fill out the application, and then you're approved. What about the people that can't get the permit? Have we thought that far?
Was you not approved prior to, or the developer there when they?
I've lived in my subdivision for 25 years. That subdivision was built 50 years ago.
Mhm.
Now, 12, 14 years ago, I had the county road department come out, and they said whoever developed this subdivision did a poor job on the drainage system. Well, most developers don't care what happens 50 years down the road. They want to develop a subdivision, get their money, get paid, and get out. But what about the people long term? The longer I live there, the worse my yard gets. Now I have 2 properties in there, and I can't get anything done. And if I do, it's going to cost me thousands of dollars that I don't have.
Have you asked for a repair permit
TDEC.
from TDEC?
Yes, they've denied both of them. So
That-
I'm stuck. I need help.
She's in the county with the city running behind her.
Behind the house.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
So, have you,
Wait a minute. You can talk to Adam. Yeah. Go ahead.
So Rachel and I have been working on this the last couple of days, and I reached out to Cleveland Utilities to get a little bit more context. So I've got a map of her property that they gave me about 30 minutes ago, 40 minutes ago.
I have my map. I have mine. Thanks.
So I need a copy. And I apologize, it's so small, but if you'll know, the first thing you'll notice, the properties shaded in purple are the 2 properties that Ms. Goins owns and had requested permits for repair. The next thing I want to draw your attention to, just above her neighborhood there, the red dotted line is the municipal boundary. So that is the Cleveland city limits. She does not touch the Cleveland city limits, and so any annexation would have to be non-contiguous. The sewer line I was able to find out that runs, I'm sorry, let me back up. Go just above that to Meadowbrook Drive, you will see a purple line. That is the actual Cleveland Utilities sewer line on the map, okay? You'll notice that on Blue Springs Road, it essentially stops there at the intersection of Blue Springs Road and Meadowbrook. And if you were to continue, that would be south on Blue Springs. The church there is just below her shaded property. The church is on a private sewer system. And so if there's someone from the church here that can maybe speak to that, it is not Cleveland Utilities infrastructure.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Correct. The infrastructure is private, so the closest Cleveland Utilities connection point would be along that purple line that you see on the map.
He's my neighbor. Lives right behind me.
yes, sir. You want to come up to front
Come up
here
here,
and
Rachel.
state your name there, please, Rachel?
Garen, Denny Crane. We live above Rachel at the corner of Bluegrass Circle and Blue Springs Road. I remember correctly when these guys had it run into. This is in my yard. Now, currently, I'm not having any problems with my septic system. I've only had it pumped out twice, 45 years. But I did not know until he said, I knew that there's a meter up there, or looks like a meter. It's where they can get to it, sitting in my yard. So you're telling me the city sewer system's in my yard. Will I be able to hook onto it? So,
Any lines that are attached to the system is not, Cleveland Utilities does not consider it their infrastructure. It's a private infrastructure, so.
you can call it private for me too.
So, and I don't shoot the messenger, I'm just relaying what information I've been given. Any connection to their line is not a decision by the commission, the city council, or Cleveland Utilities. That really would be a discussion between property owners and the church.
Well, I mean, you're saying if they're fine, come up there and meet, okay?
You could, I shouldn't say that.
If I'd known that 25, 30 years ago, I'd done it myself.
It's incredibly expensive, but if you were able to get that
You're talking
approved.
60 feet.
Yeah, it's about $100 per linear feet right now is what they've told us. Anywhere from $100 to $200 per linear feet for sewer line.
So if I can get you guys to pay 80%, couple thousand.
Well, the way the program's structured now, that the funds wouldn't be available for that. Right?
No, wait a minute. Are you sure? For us to tie into the city sewer?
If you are on a city sewer line, if sewer was running down your street and you applied for this program, you would be able to participate and the funds would cover. But because, and we're arguing semantics here, but because there is not Cleveland City Utilities infrastructure on your road, the funds would not apply as the program is written and as it's being executed. What's your address?
It's the one on the corner right there.
There is city water in your neighborhood. That blue line is city water, is Cleveland Utilities water. But there, and again, I'm just looking at the map. The closest connection point for sewer is there at, I guess it'd be 3040 Blue Springs Road, it looks like, where it terminates.
He's talking about the city. He's talking about the city limits. He said a while ago, it's all the way to the intersection. That's not the intersection.
No, I'm looking at the map. I can't really see the address there. I think it's 3040 Blue Springs Road. Just in front of that, you'll see that the purple line ends, and that is where they're saying that the terminus of their sewer line is. And that is where, at some point there, is where the church's system ties in.
Okay, so going back to my question, the original funding was to fix people's problems. So we have a solution, but why is it going to cost me when I wasn't the one that developed the subdivision? I just live here. So I am one that needs a solution. And my solution from TDEC is you have to tie into city sewer. It's going to be your only solution. So why would I have to pay thousands of dollars? Because I think you and I, city or Cleveland Utilities said 1,600 linear feet. That's $160,000. I don't have 160,000. Oh, I mean, I'm sure I could, sell a couple houses, but that's not fair to me as a property owner in Bradley County when I'm having the same issues that this funding was for to begin with. So what's my solution? I don't want the county commissioners and the city councilmen to get in an argument over who's going to take care of what, because that's what I've been told. Well, then you're going to have to get into the issue of who's going to take care of the property if something was to happen, a fire, emergency, whatever. Well, we need to come together because I'm part of the community, whether it's city or county. I'm part of the community. So city councilman, and because I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be the only one that's going to have this problem. I just need a solution. Help me find one.
All right, let's talk to the city councilman and Cleveland Utilities. And
When do you want to do that? Because I can call him today.
ASAP. You call him, I got all day, sister.
Let me ask you a question. Somewhere along the line, you got a permit. Somebody got a permit to put a septic tank.
I'm sure
on
50
your
years
property.
ago. My house was built in 1968. I wasn't
Yeah.
even born then.
But anyway, they should be a record of that still
Mm-hmm.
at some point. And what I understand, I don't know, I may be wrong, that if you have a septic tank and it's a existing septic tank, that you can get a repair permit for that. And if it's been issued before by TDEC, then why shouldn't it be issued again?
Mark's words were, T-Deck, was
Yeah.
you have the worst Conosoggy soil. It will not, doesn't matter what you do. Interceptor drain, curtain drain, it will not work.
Well,
There's nowhere for the water to
well,
drain.
they passed it before, though. They passed it.
Yeah.
Somebody passed it.
They-
TDEC,
yeah.
somebody did. So, and it had to be TDEC. So, I don't know why we couldn't go back to. Have you went back to see when you bought your property? And well, like I say, what did TDEC say? They just said you had to hook to a sewer system.
Period.
Period. He said
period.
that's your only solution. He's gonna write it up because he denied both permits. He's gonna write it up. The soil consultant is also gonna write up something. And then I asked Matt to write up something saying that if that was our only solution, that would, the 80% would still come from them to pay for it if I had to cut it. But now the cost is so high, I'm not gonna get that. Because it's a $15,000 cap per property.
And let me back up 1 second too. You need to get hold of Cindy Slater first.
Mm-hmm.
And if she needs me to go with you, I'll go with you. She's your county commissioner, and I'd be tickled to ride with you and go with you, whatever you need me to do. But
Where are we going?
to see the city, we'll go see the mayor. We'll go walk in, knock on his door.
But by the time we get all this taken care of, that money's gonna be gone. You already have a third of it if they go through, the 48 people minus 2, because I'm on that.
You're done ahead of the
46.
process, so all they have to say is yeah.
Yeah, but getting to see them and getting it done in a timely manner, that money's probably gonna be gone. So then what? Then I'm at the mercy of what?
I know you're not gonna quit.
I think you can get in to see him pretty quick if he's going down with you. Well, y'all can talk to the mayor there and see what your
But really,
options-
we need to get
see if
Cindy
you have any
involved too,
options
if you
at
can.
all, and take it from there. But that can be done pretty quick, I think.
I might be able to save you some time because the mayor and the city council will say they don't have anything to do with it. You're outside the city. Cleveland Utilities will say they don't have anything to do with it because you're outside the city and you're not on one of their lines. So you can certainly go knock on the door, but I think you're going to find that
Carry
that's
the
answer
paper
you
with
get.
us.
Do what?
We take the paper in with us.
Yeah.
Okay, so who do I need to scream at?
We don't need to scream at nobody. We need to ask proper and go and be nice and see if they won't do this.
Well, I am being nice, Scotty.
I am. I
But-
am too.
If he just said the city and the Cleveland Utilities they're going to say it's not my problem.
You can't never get nothing done by stopping. Continue moving.
Okay. Okay. So no solutions today.
Whatever you want to do,
Yeah.
we'll go see them. If you want to go see them after it's over, I'll be perfectly fine. We'll ask the banner if he'll go with us. Would you go with us, sir?
But
There you are.
We'll get an update on that. And,
Okay.
I'll get that from him, and we'll see where you get at. And
But I'm sure you're going to have this same conversation with some other people because I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one.
okay. Thank
You
Richard.
might be the beginning of a solution. You don't ever know.
Okay, we have some other people that want to speak. Just come on up and give your name. That'd be fine, yes, sir.
I'm District 4. And first, I'd like to thank everybody that's responsible for the program. Really going to. And first heard about it, and I got hold of Matt's name and called Matt. Very helpful. Called me right back and sent me an email with what I needed to do, and he told me what pages were there in the contractors for Bradley County, and he gave me a link to the permit. So I went ahead and started getting started. I called a contractor, and I filled out for a permit, which is very easy. Go online, it's very easy. And you get your tax return, tax paper, and you see your lots. I did that, but then I got a call from TDEC. I think his name was Mark Hillard or something. He said that I really didn't need a permit because sewer was available to us out in our subdivision. Just came available about 7 months ago. So he said I didn't even need a permit, and so I got back with Matt, and so I'm getting a quote today from Old Coy Utility District. Gone pretty smoothly for me so far, you know, but it would help talking to y'all too.
Right.
I'm pretty pleased with the program. I appreciate all the help that y'all are getting. I think it's really good for the
One other question, Matt, would he, since TDEC told him that, would he have to get 2 estimates or no? Praise God, that's good.
I think maybe from help from y'all, they're actually gonna quote electrical too. Before, they just did the hooking to the sewer.
Yeah, I've got a piece of paper here.
They're gonna quote it lock and key, as far as
Yeah.
my understanding. I talked to Tim with Old Coy Utility District.
It
couple
still
of days
stays, it still stays below the cap.
Yeah, it's
Yes, sir.
actually
Yeah.
below
Yeah, it should.
$10,000.
Could stay pretty easily below
Yeah.
that, I think.
And they said they could run the line for $52.50.
Yeah, I think that's what he told me.
And then
52.50,
the
and then the electrical.
Electrical, he said they get everything under 10,000, so that's,
Oh, yeah, they should do
Yeah.
that easily, I would think.
Yes, sir.
I really do appreciate it. Really have to.
Okay, Jim.
And we live out in Magnolia Farm. There's some other people out there having trouble. My neighbor down there, Tricia Morgan, she's having problems with hers too. And I think she's about the same thing that I'm going to give her a quote today.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it. Yes, Tom.
I just want to make a comment, if I could, relating to Old Coy Utility District versus Cleveland Utility. And I think Rachel's situation will be attaching to Cleveland Utilities. Their demand will be that you are annexed, and then you start paying city taxes, top of the county taxes. That doesn't apply with Old Coy, so keep that in mind when you start negotiating with them. That's all
they'll be asking for it to be annexed, right?
Oh, yeah, they've done that in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if they agree they want you annexed, that means city taxes, which are a little more than double county taxes.
Thank you, Tom.
On there. There's 3 options on that map, if you look at it again, that Cleveland Utilities, if her property was annexed, there's 3 options. Option 3 is on the left side there, and it's a different color, all these colored lines. You'll see it's how many feet, 1,150 linear feet for a 3-inch force main that comes off their existing line over to her property. In the middle of the page there is option 2. That's the shortest, would be the least expensive. That's an 8-inch gravity main, and that runs right down the middle of 2 properties and down the street just to her property. Option 1 over on the right side, is the longest and would have the opportunity to capture the most residents, and it's 1,750 linear feet. So, you know, there is a requirement that Cleveland Utilities, if a property is annexed, that they have to service, right? But there's a 6 or 7 year window before they have to do that, and they're on an 8-year budget cycle. So, you know, even if she were to annex today, there's no guarantee that she could wait another 8 years, 6 or 8 years before she could get tied on for free. Otherwise, she could pay the cost to do it herself, which would be extremely expensive.
Okay.
between 100 and 200, and the reason for the range is that if you're just going across grass, versus a road, you've got gravel and things that need, just the difference in the cost of the materials, but anywhere from 100 to $200 per linear foot. Math is easiest on 100. It's still expensive either way.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Rachel, we'll keep up with that, see where you get, and hopefully come back with us when you. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Matt, you want to speak to that?
I suppose I'll be put in the crosshairs. So, I can't speak to TDEC's history of permits. I can tell you a lot's changed in 50 years. So, it could have been that back when that system was originally put in, that they thought it would be adequate. I know that our soil scientists have learned a lot over this past 50 years, and I understand that, but what I'm saying is they just may not have been aware at that time. This was so long ago, I don't know what TDEC's process was back then, but it certainly could have changed. I don't know if that helps at all.
Thank you, Matt.
Would that make TDEC responsible? Would that make the county responsible? Or would it just be, I don't know.
But I guess if TDEC issued a permit for that, then there should in the future be a repair to if it had to be. And that should be passed, and I don't know why it shouldn't. That's the reason to do it. Need to do a little research on that with the city. But we'll get back with you, Rachel, on that. We'll do what we can do. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Okay, I know we have a couple more there.
Thanks for listening to me today. I have another, you probably. My name is Wendy Sweeney. I've heard my name floating around. I contacted recently. So I just moved to New York end of the summer, and the house that I moved to, I had no idea I had any issues until say Thanksgiving, December. And so I ended up first contacting a gentleman that was doing the pumping before I moved in, and he told me he let the previous homeowners know that their field lines were bad. I had Joe Bodle from Answer come out in December before Christmas after pumping. I pumped twice. He came out December 13th, and he gave me an estimate of $1,200 to dig up to hopefully be able to repair this. And he dug it up, and my field lines were not functioning at all. It turns out the previous owner was just pumping every time a heavy rain came. And so I pumped December 13th, then I pumped. So Joe at Land Services told me that I would have to apply for a permit with TDEC, and then he would give me an estimate and go from there. So I paid the $100 online. I didn't know of this program at this time. So I paid the $100 online. Later, about around like December 19th, Mark came out, tested my soil, and everything looked good. So I got lucky. I'm in Cloverleaf Court, swampland area, which is a lot of areas here. So basically, they said I had to put new field lines in. The ones that I have were not functioning at all, but they're also going uphill. They were like, I don't have this down with me, but there's supposed to be a certain amount underground. These were like 36 inches underground. They were at a different level as my septic, and everything running into my septic. And so he approved my permit, have the permit. I ended up going with land services because I already paid a nice. So I had the work done. Came out January 9th, or 9th to the 11th. The morning of the 12th, I mean, it wasn't even 24 hours. At 7 a.m. I saw Facebook. And like I like had a hard time getting this money together. And I mean, I did it and I paid, but a financial burden. And I saw this following morning, and all my calls are saying that you guys already met and it's late, and I didn't go through the proper steps. But they also said I could come and kind of plead my case. Anything. I feel like I did all the proper steps, but I did one.
What are you asking us to do?
Program kind of and help me out. I don't a little bit have the invoice, so I paid and pumping that part of it. The field lines, 1,505, and that's the second invoice. I was just seeing if there was any way if I could submit this, apply a different, get some help back.
Are you asking for retroactive? Is
Yeah,
that
kind of.
what you're asking for?
Yes.
What did Mayor, how did that read? We said something about retroactive during this discussion when we first started.
If I recall, it was discussed, but it was not approved to apply funds retroactively.
That's what I was thinking, that we would not go back on retroactive nature. So that's where we stand right now. That's the decision that we made, and I guess probably, I don't know if we could even do that or not. But the only thing I can do is we'll check into that for you. And go ahead.
I've got a lady that actually sent me a letter that was 6 months prior to this. And her husband had just retired and stuff, and they moved into Bradley County, and the house that they bought, they got $30,000 or $40,000 invested into the house now after they bought the house. And they had the same situation. They put in 300 foot of field line, and it was $9,000 to do that, not counting their roof and some other stuff that had to be fixed. And the husband had to actually go back to work. And like I say, and it just breaks my heart. It really does. She come in my business and brought me a letter, and she said, Scotty, I know there may be nothing you can do about this, but I wanted you to have this letter. She said, I want you to know I'm praying for you. And that meant more than anything. So I have been continuously praying about this situation, but there's no resolution to it at the moment. I'm going to continue praying.
One other asking, I Mark him and Mark kind of gotten brought up, so I could a couple days. I'm really one day.
Anyway, but where we stand right now is no retroactive, so we'll just have to add something that would have to be brought back up, if so, and but I don't know if we'd be open a can of worms or what. That,
That would be the only thing that would happen is you open up a big filing system, then how far do you go back?
And,
Yeah.
I mean, I just wanted to be so close. It wasn't like
Yeah.
I did it 6 months, even though that's, it was like after, I thought I could.
Thank you so much. We'll
Thank
have
you.
further discussion about it, I promise. Thanks.
we got another lady there, I believe.
Hi, my name is Kelly Popple. I live in the second district. I'm here for 2 reasons. One, just to give hats off to Matt. What he described in his email that he sent out to everybody, I was literally reading line for line as he was describing it. That is the email that I got with all the information in it. We do have, I have a concern about the contractors in general. In Bradley County, I called 7 different contractors. Actually, no, 12 different contractors, and 7 showed up to do a review of my property. Of those 7, I got 2 bids back. The other 5 disappeared. Contacted them multiple times. One actually tried to shame me on Facebook after I gave him a bad review, which is hilarious. But I don't know that. I guess I would suggest that we do something to reach out to the Bradley County contractors and explain to them that, what this program is, ask them to do their due diligence and not leave these people hanging, because there are a lot of people out there that are trying to get bids and they're not getting return phone calls. They have somebody come out, the bid never comes in. So that's a problem that residents are dealing with. The second issue is apparently we now have contractors who have not renewed their TDEC 2023 permit. The 2 bids I got, both of them had not renewed their permit. Didn't know that till today. Now, I've already resolved one of those contractors, and he actually, while I was sitting in here, got his permit applied for. But that apparently is happening all over the place. So again, if we have a way to reach out to at least just to the Bradley County ones, if there's only 20, there's got to be a way that we can have a meeting and, invite all of those people. And I thought there was kind of talk about that at some point of, giving the public and contractors a way to, communicate with you guys and tell you if they're having any issues, because maybe it's something that we just don't know about. My heart breaks for Rachel. I was in the same exact boat, but I got lucky because there was an adjacent property that was not owned or was not built on, and I was able to buy it. Now I can put a brand new system on that property. Without that, I would have been in the same boat you're in. No solution. So, and I am probably a mile away from city sewer. So this is going to be, you guys are going to have to think outside the box for people like Rachel, for people like, the other lady. I understand it's opening a can of worms, but I think there's ways you guys can work through that. If the program started January 12th, even if we give a 30-day window or a 60-day window and stop there, that would at least relieve a few of these people who spent thousands of dollars, had no knowledge that this program was coming, even though TDEC did, to help them out so that they can actually feed their kids and move on with life. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
There's one thing I like to say about TDEC, and it's all been falling back on them, but the young man that works for him's been pretty responsive. He's been coming pretty quick, ain't he? We'd like to give him a thank you for that. And it seems like a lot of times we just jump on a lot of people and a lot of different entities. sometimes them entities fail, but the people that work for them are good people. And, so just, we all have to bear with one another and deal with these things together. So we're gonna work harder and more, and I promise you, we'll do what we can. And, again, sister, pray with me.
Mayor, do we have any, on contractors? We put that out to contractors, didn't we? Put that in.
I mean, I think I got to believe at this point, they've been contacted by all these folks trying to get their septic systems repaired. So if they don't know about it, I don't know what more we could do
Right.
to inform them. I would encourage people to look outside of the Bradley County list, whether it be Polk County, McMinn County. You don't have to use contractors in Bradley County. They just have to be on that list. If you can get somebody from Coffee County, to come look at it, you can do that. So I would definitely encourage people to look outside the list and look maybe at the surrounding counties. But I'm not sure whether there's much more that we could do. I got to believe, as I said, that they're being contacted. They know that this program exists. To me, it would be exciting if I were a contractor. It's easy money, if you ask me. But I can't answer your question as to why they're not responding.
I think that after this is over, I'm going to go ahead and call every one of the contractors in Bradley County and inform them that this is on. I'm going to sit down and call every one of them and say, hey, look, this is real. Some of them may not think it's real.
Well,
This is real, and we'll call them all, and all of them will be called here in just a little bit,
sure.
answered or not.
I can tell you that some of these contractors have said, I just have too much work. I'm not even going to bid. I have too much work. I can't keep up. So from that perspective, it's not their fault. Now, the one that tried to shame me because I was getting money from the county, he's a different story. But the rest of them, I can only attest for 2 out of the 7 that didn't call me back that they're just too busy and they can't take the work.
We'll work on that. Yes, Matt.
I just would like to add that at some point here, when we get all these details nailed down, get all these questions answered, I would like to host a contractor meeting. And perhaps the county could provide an office space for us to do so. Basically, we would run through program requirements. I could talk with them about renewing certifications, that sort of thing, just making sure everyone's good to go with starting on this program, all the contractors out there.
That's a good idea.
That's a
Matt.
good idea.
Appreciate that, Matt.
Sure thing.
When do you want to do it?
Okay, yeah, I'll coordinate with Lori on that, and we'll get something
Yeah.
on the books here soon.
That'll work. Rachel, did you want something else?
Right.
Mm.
Rachel, that is a great idea. I will point out, a lot of these contractors don't realize their permit has lapsed. TDEC went to an online recertification process this year, from what I understand. So some of these contractors are not aware of that and have just had their permits, or their certifications lapse without knowing. So that is a good idea to check in with them, and you could even ask them for proof of that certification and just make sure that it says 2023 on it.
Okay. That'd be a good idea, Matt, to have that. Can we get that working, Lori? Appreciate it. Any more questions from the audience? We've got everything written down here that everybody's requested, and hopefully we'll work toward it. And it started, I don't know, of course, I don't know how long. I don't know how long the money's gonna last. And, the way it's going now, well, it's going pretty fast, and so, hopefully we can, get some of these questions answered pretty quick. And like the retroactive and stuff like this, we'll just have to, we'll see where we're at on that. And, if you will, leave your name with, Lori there, and, we'll try to get back with you. on That, but I think in what we passed, that there'd be no retroactive. That's where we stand right now. And, Rachel, we'll do what you can. We'll do what we can for you. And, hope the city will help you out some there. And, but I really can't understand why that you had a permit to have a septic tank, and for some reason you could not get a repair permit for it. That's just, it doesn't make a lot of sense. 'Cause somewhere along the line, the TDEC had to present a permit for that. So, anyway, any more questions from the audience? Anybody on the committee? Tom? Mayor? All right. We're adjourned.